Greetings, my name is JC,
And I'm Ian.
and this is the Gamer's Gaiden. In this episode, we're going to be talking about 2019 so far. 6 months have passed, and we're going to go over what we like, what we didn't like, and a bunch of different things along the lines of games that have been released in 2019. But before we get into that, if you like this episode or like what we do, try and help us out by hitting that subscribe button, hitting the like button, and sending this video to other people who you think would also like our content. And our first segment, as we normally start off with, Ian, what have you been playing this week?
Not too much. It's been a weird week, but I did finish my friend Pedro.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you talked a little bit about that last week. How did the rest of the playthrough go?
It was cool. They kind of, I will say it started to feel a little samey
Okay.
near the end. Like
Right.
all the levels
The
kind of had.
gameplay mechanics kind of just carried over to the rest of the game, sort of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was really interesting when it started out.
Was it overly long, or
No, not crazy long. I
like
want
10 hours or something?
not even that.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 5.
Okay, short and sweet.
Yeah. But there's like 4 distinct stages.
Mm-hmm.
Each one probably has about 10 levels.
Right.
And each level kind of ranged between 2 and maybe 8 minutes.
Okay.
So you can do the math. But it's a lot of fun. They obviously encourage you to go back, try things on harder difficulties, try to get higher
Right.
scores. They've got, live updating leaderboards,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you have the whatever online service you're playing it on.
Yeah.
Whether it's on like PSN or I was playing it on the Switch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's available on everything. It's even on GOG, actually.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Not everything's even available on GOG. But no, it was a lot of fun. They incorporate a lot of fun things. The final boss fight was a really good time.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I did enjoy how they basically included a new weapon every series of like stages.
Okay.
You'd probably like start out the first 2 and then like bam, new weapon.
Yeah, I like how games do that because it adds in at least something like new mechanically that you can at least tinker with.
Yeah, and this kind of had everything had ammo.
Right.
Except your starting pistols.
Oh, okay.
You had unlimited in those, so
Pretty
you know,
classic trope.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you had a finite amount of ammo for the rest of the weapons.
Cool.
You only dual wielded one other weapon, which I thought was accurate because you're not going to really dual wield shotguns.
I don't know. Ash probably would, but
I mean,
we're not all Ash, so
it's true. But no, you know what? It was a lot of fun.
I mean, this is pre like Chainsaw Hand. But
But for the price, $25, I for sure had a lot of fun with it for that.
Cool.
So, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. JC, what were you playing this week?
So I haven't played League in a couple weeks, and my friends have been bugging me to come back and everything. So I played some games of League, and hopefully I'll keep at it because I kind of wanted to start playing ranked again, and I hadn't gotten back to that because I've got my new sub goal with that. But yeah, their new project skins are coming out. That should be exciting, and the arcade quests, there's so many of them, and I just haven't been able to complete them because I haven't been playing, so I'm going to try and hammer through those this week before it ends.
I did
So,
see that there's a possibly new Jinx skin.
yeah, so maybe you can come back and play a little bit of ADC. And
Yeah, I'd probably pay $15 for that
yeah.
because I'm an idiot.
So played a little bit of League, and also I wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the new GOG Galaxy 2.0 that has come out.
Ooh,
It's in early beta access where you have to register to get an access key, and then they're going through them and then bringing them to everybody. And I finally got my key about a week and a half ago.
it's funny because this was one of the major complaints that we had in the digital versus physical episode.
Yeah,
Was that you don't really have one solid platform.
and now you do.
How's it working?
It's working just as good as normal GOG Galaxy for all the GOG content, and it has a bunch of added features into it, which are really, really nice. I connected Steam and my 6 games, connected my PlayStation account to it,
Crazy.
and I can see all of my games that I own on all of those platforms, and
Wow.
I can see the achievements that other people have done and completed, such as like if somebody is playing on the PlayStation 4, for example, I'll actually, on the activity feed, that activity feed is actually transferred over to GOG. and same,
Okay.
yeah. So it's pretty cool. And the one thing that I haven't been able to figure out, but I didn't look too much into it, is whether or not I can talk to my Steam friends or my PlayStation friends, for example. And there's a lot of it, like you can do Uplay, Ubisoft, this is the same thing, Origin, and Windows, Xbox, for example, as well to it, and a couple of others. But those are the ones that I've connected to it because I have those ones.
You don't have an Origin account?
No, I've never. Other than on console, I don't necessarily play most of those two companies, Origin and yeah. So
I don't think
yeah.
anyone has a Uplay account.
Well,
I
there's
wasn't even going to make that joke. It's not worth making.
So anyway, yeah, the interface allows me to install my Steam games, for example, from the Galaxy 2 account, and I can actually launch them from there as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool, but it's in beta. They'll add more features over time. I'm pretty certain it's definitely usable. I haven't encountered any like bugs that sort of prevented me from doing anything, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm really really excited, and I hope more people use it because it like consolidate. It was their main complaint, like you said in that one episode.
Yeah.
It consolidates everything for me in one platform, and I can play like my copy of Civilization through my GOG Galaxy 2.0 account and boot it up through there whenever I want to play the game instead of having to have more than one client open. So it's really really awesome.
I just find it really weird that it's Galaxy of Gamers Galaxy.
Yeah.
That's a weird name.
Mm-hmm.
They should have gone with something other than
It's
Galaxy.
good old games, not Galaxy of
Is
Games.
it? I
Yeah.
thought it was Galaxy of Gamers.
No, it's good old games.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wrong. I've been wrong before.
Yeah,
I'll be wrong again tonight.
They've shortened it from good old games to GOG just because it's better for marketing. I'm assuming.
I
but
would
yeah,
guess so.
yeah, good old games Galaxy 2.0 is technically what it stands for. Anyway, let's get into it with our segment for this week, 2019 so far. So let's start off with our best of for the first half of the year. So just to preface before we go into any of this, all these games have been released in 2019. They're not necessarily games that we've played in 2019 because we did play. And what I mean by that is there definitely is games that came out previous to this year that we have played in 2019. We're not including those, just games that have been released since January, basically, up until last week, I think. So at least that's from my list. I think I mentioned.
Actually, I do have one on my list that was released
recently, anyway.
A few days ago. Yeah.
Let's start with the best with the first half of the year. My first in the list is
Are these in any kind of special order for you, JC, or did you just kind of throw them?
They're in they're not in order. Not really. No, just in the order that I felt like talking about them in.
Okay.
Not necessarily in the order of like 3 to 1 or something like that.
Same. Yeah. These are just kind of.
Yeah, just the order that I felt like talking them in.
Sorry. So, what's kind of your first that you've really been enjoying?
Mario Maker 2. The enjoyment from that game has been really, really high so far. I am still playing it, and making levels, which we made the level last week. You can check it out. Check out our Twitter.
It was a lot of fun.
And if you want to play it, and there's a code in one of the tweets that was posted last week. And there was a ton of the reason why I put this on the list was because there's a ton of content just out of the box if you're just a Mario fan and you don't necessarily like building levels, and there's a ton of levels being made every single day. Every time I boot it up, I go to the new levels and I just play down a whole bunch of them, and if they're nonsensical and I don't want to attempt beating this really really hard level, I'll just move on to the next one and then keep on going, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, even I had a good time with that. We had some downtime last week before we recorded, and I think I sat and I played for a good half hour, maybe even an hour.
Yeah, about an hour.
And just going through random levels, and it's great. I really liked.
Yeah, I played Mario Maker, and I've been starring the ones I like, so I can actually like. One of my friends likes Mario as well, but he didn't get the game, and he's tried them out, and there's a lot of interesting ideas out there. That's for sure. Anyway, Ian, what's your first in the list?
Blood and Truth.
Right, you
for,
talked about
PSVR.
this last week, right? And the week before?
A couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of, it was part of the inspiration for like a big VR kick that I went on
Right.
recently, and yeah, it kind of changed what I thought could be done with VR.
Yeah.
The way they told the story, like big action set pieces, like it really it felt like an action movie
Mm-hmm. And
that you were in.
you were really into the interactability with the game as well, because you were mentioning there's a lot of different things and ways that you can actually interact with different
Yeah,
environmental things.
for me, that's a real big thing with VR is I like
Mm-hmm.
to be able to like touch stuff and grab stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you could pick up beer bottles and just chuck them and they would smash.
Mm-hmm.
You could like pick up a cigar, you could light it, you could smoke it. Don't smoke. But like you could do all of this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And the way you would grab your weapons and hold them, it was so intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And just well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even the story was really enjoyable. Like it wasn't the story wasn't an afterthought.
Right.
It was very good.
Yeah.
I had a really good
Well
time with
written.
it, and all of the plot points were fun. The only thing now, I mean, it could just be me, and I might have just been in the wrong spot. I found a few issues with grabbing onto stuff.
Yeah.
Some like
The
registration
PlayStation
issues.
does only have the two cameras in front of you from
Yeah.
the PlayStation camera, so that could be part of it too.
And sometimes you kind of get yourself turned around when you're playing.
Yeah, I had that problem whenever I played Doom, where I was like facing the door and it wouldn't get the gun, the aim controller, because
Yeah.
it was like the back was to my back was facing the camera, and it didn't always know what I was pointing at. Yeah.
But I mean, really, that's like the only gripe. It was fantastic. I think it's like $40.
Mm-hmm.
Probably even cheaper now because it's been out for a few weeks. You might be able to grab it on a sale or something.
Yep.
It's if you have a PSVR, it is worth checking out. The experience was stellar. What about you, JC? What was your next one?
My next one is a game that I spoke about in one of our early episodes, which was games that I was looking forward to, and then we kind of did a little bit of a chat and review of it, and that game is Resident Evil 2, the remake.
Yep.
This game is fantastic.
Yep.
I really like the original Resident Evil game, and it lived up to my expectations and even blew past them and added in a bunch of different things that I just really wasn't expecting, like how good it looked, how well it
This is
played.
how you do a remake.
This is definitely how you do a remake, and I highly suggest if you're a fan of the Resident Evil series and you haven't played it, what is wrong with you? Go play it. And if you are a fan of games like it that are survival horror, this is kind of the echelon of horror, survival horror gaming, and definitely give this game a try. Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's fantastic. Your next one, Ian?
Wargroove.
Yeah, you've been playing this one quite a bit on the Switch.
Yeah. I mean, on and off. It's nice because it's something you can pick up and play,
Mm-hmm.
like on the go.
Yep.
And you can just stop because it's all turn-based combat.
Right.
So you just shut off the system and grab it back up again and
Yeah.
start going. Yeah, it's Advance Wars,
Mhm.
but medieval. There aren't too many things out right now, or
Yeah, not
at
a lot
all
of
that are really
game-
going to kind of scratch that itch for people who want something like Advance Wars.
And to be honest, I think that's kind of been true for a majority of like time, because these types of games are fairly niche for the
Yeah.
amount of games that they make, and it's nice that these guys have made this game. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah, and I enjoy that. It has a good online community
Mm-hmm.
with lots of various game modes that people have created.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to Mario Maker, where you can just go through and play custom maps.
Oh, cool! I did not know that was an aspect of
Um,
it.
And there's like, I've played a few that are kind of like an RPG,
Okay,
where you actually have different abilities that you can use.
RPG like as in Shining Force.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Except where you would, because there wasn't too many. There was like magic in it,
sure.
but not like. Anyways, yes,
Okay.
like Shining Force. It's still that tactical RPG.
Yep.
But with like interesting abilities and effects in that. It was neat. People have been doing a lot of really interesting things with the with the game itself. And then like on top of that, you've got 4 drastically different looking factions,
Right.
but all of which have the exact same units, just skinned differently.
Right.
The only difference is your hero characters,
Mm-hmm.
and all of them are so incredibly different
Right.
that it's very fun to play around with the different combinations.
Be able to make the party that you want to make, and with the different characters and everything.
Yeah, like you can kind of primarily focus on one type of combat if that's what you want to do, or you can kind of diversify a little bit, which is definitely the way to go. You don't want to go one way because you will just get countered. But no, Wargroove, again, cheap. It's like $25.
Yeah.
And for the amount of gameplay you're going to get out of it, it's completely worth it. If Advance Wars was something that you dug, you're doing yourself a disservice by not picking this up.
Awesome.
Next one for you, JC?
So, if you've been watching the series and you know a little bit about me, you know I'm a big fan of Life is Strange, and my picks for this are the 2 episodes that have come out this year for Life is Strange 2, episodes 2 and 3. And I've really been enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the new episode that's coming out in August. I'm a little annoyed that I have to wait that long, but I'm probably going to say the same thing at the weekend that game episode comes out and have to wait until December for the last episode, which is, yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, but yeah, it's a really great game. If you like story-based games and character development and just really good game in that aspect, then this is definitely the game for you, and I highly suggest that people check it out if you like those types of games. Ian?
Katana Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of this. This was a lot of fun.
Right.
It's side-scrolling Hotline Miami.
Right.
But with a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
And cyberpunk.
Yeah. Samurai Cyberpunk. I mean, how can you go wrong?
Yeah, the gameplay is fun. It's still that same one hit and you're dead.
Right.
And it's just a puzzle. It's a murder puzzle. You're putting those pieces together, how you're going to most efficiently kill your way through it.
Yeah.
And yeah. And yet again, another game that's $25.
Yeah.
Like if price is a holdback for you on video games, like Wargroove, Katana Zero, they're on everything. And they're dirt cheap.
Yeah.
When they have a ton of gameplay, there's a ton of value there for what you're getting.
Yeah, it's amazing how, like, we've talked a lot about on this series or our show about indie games, and it's amazing how good indie games are.
Yeah.
And if for people who don't necessarily like looking at them so much, like, definitely, like, take a look at these games, because they are just as deserving as any of the other AAA titles, even more in a lot of cases, in my opinion.
Like, to me, this is an attest, like, to the quality, because 2 of my 3 titles were indie releases.
Yeah.
That were under $30. I mean, I'm with you. Resident Evil 2 Remake was stellar.
Yeah.
If you were gonna buy one game on this list, buy that. It's great. But yeah, I mean, the amount of quality that you're getting for the price point, it's there's been a ton of $80 releases that I don't think stand up to the likes of Wargroove and Katana Zero.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So in our next segment, we'll talk about games that have been released this year so far that we've enjoyed, which are kind of like honorable mentions. They're not necessarily games that we think are necessarily like in our top 3, but definitely deserve some recognition.
So JC, what are you thinking? What are your kind of honorable mentions?
So my first one is A Plague Tale: Innocence. I did a chat and review of this in a previous episode.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed this game. It's a story-based adventure game with a little bit of action elements into it. Basically, you're this girl who has a brother who lives in Paris. In France. It's taking place during the time of the Black Plague, and your home has been raided, and you basically are trying to take care of your brother, and the story moves on from there. and it's a really really great game. It's got a lot of good character development in it, which and the story is really stellar, which I think are my favorite aspects of it. But if those aspects are in the game and really good, those are generally what I like about them. But
It's true.
the actual action part of the game and gameplay itself in those regards are really really good as well, and it was a really really enjoyable. End boss is probably a little bit more difficult than most of the game, which I found a little bit odd. But with that aside, definitely worth a check to see if it's a game that you'd be interested in as well. Yeah, that's my first game. The second game that I'd like to mention is a series that is a strategy game that if you like strategy games, I think people should definitely check out. And it's the Sudden Strike series. Though the series itself is older, the Pacific War came expansion DLC came out this year. You need the core game to get it, but the core game is good enough on its own to play. But this is a RTS style strategy game. You don't build your own units, but you're given a certain allotment of them, and every now and then you get
Like reinforcements.
reinforcements and stuff like that. And the game gives you certain objectives and missions, and each pack with them gives you certain packet of scenarios. And in the Pacific War campaign that came out this year, there's two of them, each of them with, if I recall correctly, 5 missions. And you get to play through the Pacific Theater either as the Japanese or the Americans, and basically you go through and complete a bunch of actual battles that happened with objectives that are similar to what actually happened in the real battles. And I
Wow.
think that's really, really cool. The game plays really nice. You can play it real time and you can also pause it. And there is enough strategy element in the game with especially the infantry and stuff like that that make the game interesting. That makes it really enjoyable in my opinion. And it isn't too tactical that if you make a mistake that you won't necessarily be able to beat it, though there are certain circumstances where if you lose all your heavy armor, that will definitely be very bad for you. But a good game nonetheless, and I think anybody who likes strategy, tactical RTS style games, this is probably right up their alley, especially if they like the World War II theater. And there's a lot of previous content that's been released over the years. So that's my second one. The third game in my list is a puzzle game for the Switch that I talked about before as well, which is Box Boy and Box Girl. So this is a game that you're a box basically, and you're given a new mechanic that the box can do every world. And you basically can create extra boxes off of yourself, and you have to solve puzzles in certain ways. There's like many different abilities, and you get a new ability every world, and you basically have to go through each of the puzzles and complete the puzzle. And there's a lot of them. I don't recall the exact amount, but I think there's like 80 or more of them.
Wow.
And if you like puzzle games where there's platforming involved, this is a puzzle game where there's platforming involved. So this would be right up your alley. The next game is Warcraft Classic. This was released on GOG as a joint effort between Blizzard and GOG. And though this is a very old game, it is a remake that came out this year where they basically made it available on new platforms so that it worked correctly, and they took some attention to detail to basically upscale the game correctly, and so that it played as you remembered it. So if you're a person who used to play it, like myself, and yeah, it's a really great game. This comes with both the first one and the second one. The
Ooh.
gameplay of the first one is a little bit archaic. They didn't update any of the gameplay usability features and stuff like that, such as you have to press A or click on the actual button on the screen and then click the enemy to attack it, or M and then click to move instead of just like clicking like you would think you'd be able to. So the first one is a little bit archaic, but the levels are designed very, very well, and they're challenging enough to, I think, warrant the playthrough if you can get past those usability features, because, this was one of the first examples of a RTS game, and although I have a love nostalgia for the first Warcraft and the second Warcraft, if you don't like that, the second Warcraft is also available, and you can play with people online if you can find a friend or whatnot through the classic Blizzard Battle.net.
Ooh.
And it works on modern computers and everything like that. So a win all around, I think. So the Warcraft Classic games are definitely a look into if you were original players of the game, you haven't played them in a long time, you want to replay them, or even if you're a really big fan of Warcraft and you want to know its origins. So, yeah. The last game in my list is a game that came out earlier this year. I'm a big fan of Mario, but I'm more of a fan of the 2D Mario versus the 3D Mario. And the new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe came out, which was kind of a re-release of the Wii U version.
Because nobody played the Wii U version.
Because not very many people had a Wii U. Yeah. And so they released it with a bit new features. And I couldn't really tell you what those new features are because I didn't play the original or looked into it because I didn't care because I hadn't played it. But if you like the classic 2D Mario where you're just good platforming, it's up to you can play with your friends. I think there's 4 players in it where you can play with Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Toadette. And yeah, was a really, really great game. It just played exactly like I liked, and I had a really good time playing it. So that is my honorable mentions for 2019 so far.
So far.
Yeah. We will see how that changes over the year. But that's as it stands right now. So, Ian, what about your list? What's on your list of games that have been released so far that you would like to mention that you've enjoyed playing this year?
I mean, I'll start my list with Trover Saves the Universe.
Right. I thought this would be on your list.
Yeah, I mean, I did a chat, we did a chat and review on it earlier on, and I really enjoyed this. This was a whole lot of fun, especially going and playing other platform VR games like Astrobot. This was just done so incredibly well. The combat is very simple but fantastic. The puzzles were a lot of fun, and I mean, if you enjoy Justin Roiland's humor, as well as his voice work, because it's just Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in case you don't know, it's Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
some people won't know. So.
I guess that's true. But no, it was a lot of fun, and I haven't gone back to play it again yet, but I actually might revisit it soon.
Okay.
So, yeah, Trover Saves the Universe. Next up, I'll go with Ace Combat 7.
Okay, cool.
Which, for me, was actually my first Ace Combat game.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. I got super hyped to try this out, and I did, and I had so much fun with this. I loved the unlockables.
Right.
I find that all of the planes are actually, even though some of them are kind of samey, between the different tiers, they're drastically different.
Right.
And I found myself actually taking different planes to do different missions.
Yeah, each of the planes have something that they're very good at, whether it be air to ground or air to air, or maneuverability aspects and stuff like that, or speed and
then
whatnot.
Being able to play a mission and being like, you know what, I need something that's all around good, something that's sort of even in everything, and then having to go back, do more, or play some of the multiplayer to earn the credits to actually unlock another plane, because that plane is what I need for this specific thing.
Yeah, and pro tip for anybody who is playing the game and having a hard time grinding for money, go online and just lose matches. You get a lot more money.
Yeah, you actually get quite a bit, and matches are 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Plus, the online matches were a lot of fun. Even though I'm not great, I still had a blast playing it. And the VR mode was
you finally got
barf-inducing, but outstanding. It took me 5 minutes to adjust to all the movement and stuff.
Yeah.
But once I got into it, I was like, why is the whole game not playable this way?
Yeah, I was underneath in my defense, I didn't really look into this because I was like, oh, cool, Ace Combat game, and there's going to be VR. Awesome, I'm going to get it. And then I pre-ordered it and I eventually got it, and I'm like, oh, it's 3 missions. So I played, I think, 2 of the missions and then put it down. But
Yeah.
yeah, the VR is really fantastic. It's very lifelike.
Yeah, incredibly, and just like yeah. Anyways, I won't go. I could go on about it all day. It's a lot of fun if you're into any of the Ace Combat stuff, or just really want to try an arcade like
Style,
flight combat game or air combat. It's the way to go.
Yeah.
Next up, Steam World Quest, The Hand of Gilgamesh.
Right.
It's a really cute card-based RPG.
Which is weird because we used to get a lot of card-based RPGs in the GameCube era.
Yes.
And then they went away, and now they're back.
Yeah, because you've got Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other ones.
There's a couple, but they're coming back from a lot of indie companies, probably because they played those games and were influenced by them.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? This was really neat. Like, if you've played any of the Steam World games, it's this similar setting, except this is medieval.
Yeah.
It's not a Western or space Western.
Right.
Yeah, you have equipment that you can get, which will change your like ultimate abilities. And then you have an 8-card deck that you build.
Okay.
Which does make it kind of challenging because you need like resource generating cards,
right,
as well as like big attack cards or big like spell cards.
Right.
So it actually is a lot of work to kind of like
balance that.
Yeah, because I mean 8 cards is super lean. At least I think it's 8. I could be wrong.
Right.
It's a very like low number. You have very few cards to actually play with, even though you do acquire more and more cards as the game goes on.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun. Check it out. Also, next one would be Dragon Quest Builders 2,
Right.
which only came out a few days ago.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a ton of time to spend with it, but
I was surprised by this entry because I didn't know if this would be a game that you would have played.
It's funny because I looked at the first one a lot. I heard and read some reviews, and I never picked it up. And then a friend of mine was actually talking to me about how excited she was about this coming out.
Okay.
And I looked into it a little bit more, and I'm like, you know what? I really did like Minecraft.
Right.
I used to spend a lot of time playing it because it's just like...
It's a fun game.
It's like Lego for adults.
Yep.
Or anybody, not adults.
Lego.
But
Lego is for anybody, and so
yeah,
is
that's
Minecraft.
true. It's just Lego that you don't have to clean up.
Yep.
And
And
this...
it attacks you at night.
Also that. Only if you're playing survival mode.
Sure.
But this is that same like gameplay loop.
Right.
Where you're gathering resources and building things, but it has the whole like Dragon Quest aesthetic. It's the same art style, except for the blocks. But you have
It's like
that
8-bit 3D.
Yeah. It's awesome. You know, I really enjoy the characters. I like that you get to make your own character and change their hair, but you can adjust them a little bit as you go.
Cool.
You actually have a party, which is neat. There are big boss fights. I mean, the combat's very simple, but
Is it live action?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I thought.
It's not turn-based, which is, again, drastically different. But you have, like, all these little sound effects that are similar to the original, like, Dragon Quest games.
That's awesome.
Like the same like resting music.
Right.
You get the same like boss defeating music when you take down a boss.
Cool.
So it's neat. It's worth it. It's that same Minecraft gameplay loop with an actual purpose.
Yep.
So, and then lastly, I'm just gonna throw out a solid thumbs up for Far Cry New Dawn.
Cool.
It's 100% better than Generation Zero.
All right.
And
you were kind of going back and forth with this whenever you were first playing in your initial reactions.
It's true. It is very true. It's 100% better.
All right, cool. It's good to know.
It's everything that I wanted out of Generation Zero.
Right.
But in a much cleaner package.
Yeah.
And just delivered to a much better level. It's bright. I mean, even personally, I find this is even better than Rage 2, which came out a month or so ago.
Right.
It has a lot of the same gameplay elements, but Far Cry just does it better.
Yeah, I noticed one of my friends was playing Rage 2 on Discord quite a bit actually, and I asked him about it, and he thought it was pretty fun. But it was
It's fun. But they try to incorporate that. They try to make it a little bit more like Far Cry with all the
right.
progression, but your gameplay was way more like Doom.
Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah.
it just
Not as good.
to me it didn't hit like it should have. Far Cry New Dawn, again, it's cheap
Yeah.
and it's a ton of gameplay.
Fair enough.
So those are kind of some of our honorable mentions for awesome things in 2019. Let's kind of get into, I guess, like hidden gems.
Yeah, just games that we think deserve a little bit more recognition and
Just a little bit extra love that might not have been getting the love that they should get.
So the first game in my list is Samurai Showdown. If you're a fan of fighting games and you want something a lot different than your traditional style fighting game, especially if you're into the fast action style fighting game like BlazBlue or the Dragon Ball Fighters, for example, Samurai Showdown might be worth at least looking into. It's just like the older Samurai Showdowns, but in a Street Fighter V graphic aesthetic.
Ooh.
And I talked about Samurai Showdown in a previous episode, so if you want a bit more information on that, definitely check that one out. And the game is, I think, a little bit more deserving of players, and I think a lot more people would enjoy it. It's a little bit slower pace. You can punish moves a lot more harsher. You can basically kill people in 2 moves, or even like just a little bit of attacks and then like one full like punishable combo and stuff like that. So it's very risk reward based, which is a lot different than some different fighting games. So these aspects definitely I recognize and know that they're in other games as well. It's a little bit different, which is really, really cool. It's going to be a game at EVO this year, and it's one of the prime games that they're pushing. So I'm really excited to watch some of the tournament matches in EVO 2019. So yeah, if it's something that you think might be up your alley, maybe check it out then, and see if it's a game that you might want to look into a little bit further. Be great to have more players. The second game is a game that I would say is more known, but I think deserves to be mentioned, and that game is Crash Team Racing.
Yeah, this kind of surprised me when I saw this on your list.
Yeah, and the main reason why I put this game on the list is not because it's necessarily a hidden gem, but whenever you're talking about kart racers, people generally just say, I got Mario Kart, it's the best, I don't really need to play any of the others.
True.
And I love both the games. I really like Crash Team Racing, and I really like Mario Kart. I have both of them, like the newest Mario Kart and Crash Team Racing, and I bring back Mario Kart every now and then, and I'm slowly playing through Crash Team Racing. And the thing is that Crash Team Racing, or CTR, has gameplay aspects that Mario Kart doesn't have. There's a lot of different trials that you can do that aren't necessarily available in any other kart racing game. That's extra content that, once you get good at the game, is something fun and enjoyable to attempt to get, especially with the time trials. And because there's little boxes on them for context, and if you get them, it stops the timer. And if you just go through the laps of the track without getting any of the boxes, you won't be able to get it. So you actually have to strategically be able to go through each of the laps and be able to get good basically on the levels. And the other thing is the game, in my opinion, and from what I see a lot of comments in different YouTube videos, the game is definitely harder.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is, or why I would say that, is because you have to be very good at the sliding and boost mechanic. So basically, whenever you drift, like you would in Mario Kart, your smoke turns black and then you can hit the other bumper. And if you hit the other bumper, then it'll do a boost. If you do 3 in a row, you will basically get a larger boost. And if you don't do this in any of the tracks, then you'll essentially lose, because each track basically has a character who is very good at it. And you'll notice that every time you play it, whenever that character is in the track, then they'll always be like top 3 generally, unless they really, really get messed over by some of the AI and stuff like that. And it seems like rubber banding, but it's not really rubber banding, because if you're really good at it, you will just go ahead and beat them all for. Like they won't even be able to catch up to you, just like you can do in Mario Kart. The difference is, like, I find that people who play like 50cc or 100cc in Mario Kart, and they're just like, oh, I can just play through the game against the AI and it's really easy. And then they're comparing it to Crash Team Racing. It's not really a good comparison. It's more like 150 or 200cc, and the reason why I say that is because you actually have to know how to drift through the level, or like do like 90-degree pinpoint turns and stuff like that a little bit more, because the way that the game is designed. So it's just a different style of game that is harder. Like, people had an issue with the remakes of the Crash Bandicoot games, because they found that it
Yes.
was really, really hard. They were like, oh, this is the platforming of Dark Souls. And I just kind of laughed, because, like, yeah, I grew up with these games. It's not that hard. But then I think, well, I just put in hours and hours into this game, so that's why it's not that hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like kart racing games, it's definitely worth looking to. There's a lot of content in it. It is very enjoyable once you get good at it. And I'm not talking about like getting like great at it. I'm just saying like average good at it. You'll be able to play through the game, and yeah, it's really, really fun. So I thought I would put it on this list. Ian, what are your hidden gems?
So for me, Akane, which in all fairness, I think this actually came out last year
Oh,
on
okay.
some other consoles.
But your version came out on the
The Switch,
Yeah.
I am fairly sure this year.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like dirt cheap. It's like a couple dollars, and yeah, I mean, it's a single level, top-down shooter. You just kind of run around. You have a pistol, which you can use kind of sparingly. It has like a stamina,
Right.
and then you've got your sword,
Mhm.
also has stamina, and then you build up a special bar at the bottom,
Right.
which you can unleash in either like a half increment or full increment.
Mhm.
Yeah, you basically kill through 100 dudes, and then you get a boss.
Right.
Kill the boss, and then gameplay loop starts again.
Cool.
But you unlock new equipment as you go.
Mhm.
There's like new gloves, new weapons, and I think jackets.
Okay.
But it's a couple bucks. It's an amazing game to play while you're waiting for stuff.
Cool.
Like if you're, I don't know, if you play
It's a
like
time filler.
yeah, if you play League,
Mhm.
it's an amazing thing to play while you're in the lobby
Mhm.
because it keeps your hands going, it keeps your brain moving. I don't think it's something that I would sit down and play for like 3 hours on end.
Right.
But it's a really fun thing. You can sit down and play for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
And when you shut it off, you're not like, "Oh man." Like you're like, "Oh, sweet. Like
Right.
time to go. Done." Yeah. It's fun. If
Cool.
you have a couple dollars in your eShop account, grab it. I think I got it on sale too for like less than $1.
Wow.
So, yeah, keep an eye out. Secondly, I want to give a mention to the Baba Is You.
Right.
It's there's not a whole lot to it, but when I accomplish levels,
Mhm.
it made me feel so much smarter than I actually am, because you're constantly changing the rules to help yourself get
Mhm.
through the level.
And this is a puzzle game for context.
Yes, yeah, it's a puzzle game. You have to figure out how to adjust the rules so that you can win the level.
Right.
And yeah, the sometimes you're turning off the ability for walls to be a thing.
Or what the win condition is.
Yeah, or changing what the win condition is.
Yeah.
It's very like programmy light
Right.
in that you're using like blank is blank
Mhm.
or something are this.
Yep.
Yeah, it gives you the words, it gives you the modifiers, and it's up to you to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's
It
like
looks really, really cool.
every time I succeeded at a level, I was always like, "Huh, I'm a
Yeah.
genius." And then you go to your next level and you're like, oh, I'm an idiot. I have no idea what I'm doing.
No, wait, genius.
And then you're like, yes.
Those are the gratifying style of puzzle games that I've always liked and enjoyed because it gives you a satisfaction of like, yeah, I figured this out.
Yeah, and it's a ton of trial and error and a lot of like, I mean, sometimes there was levels that I finished where I was like,
Right.
oh, that was it? Like, how did I not put those two things together?
Right.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. On the eShop for sure. Probably on Steam as well. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it is available on Steam.
it's
Yeah.
just a cute little puzzle game where you're trying to outsmart the levels.
Cool.
So, I think next up we're gonna get into some things that we missed playing this year, like stuff
Yeah.
that's come out that we just haven't had a chance to. It released and we're like we blanked on it.
Yeah, we're waiting or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up for you, JC?
So I have two games, and in my list I have Druidstone. So this is from the creators of Grimrock 1 and 2. They created a new strategy game that it's like a grid-based strategy game that I've yet to play. My one friend played through it, and he kept me updated on his opinions on it, and it sounds really, really fun. He said it wasn't overly too long. I think it was like around 15 hours, give
That's
or
not
take
bad.
a few. And yeah, hopefully I get it. I bought it. I pre-ordered and got a copy of it because I really wanted to support the developer. But yeah, hopefully I get to it sooner than later. And it's just I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second game I have is here because I'm not getting it until later, and that is Imperator Rome. So they're the guys who made the Paradox. They made Stellaris, and it's essentially just Stellaris in Roman times.
Ooh.
That's a very high level explanation of what the game is, but it's a 4X style game that takes place in Roman times that uses the same game engine as Stellaris, essentially,
Interesting.
or aspects of it. And the thing about Paradox games, or at least a lot of them, is that they tend to elongate their life of their games by releasing DLC that adds in like core mechanics and features and stuff like that into the game.
Yeah, there's been at
And
least 2 for Stellaris, hasn't there?
Stellaris has like 8 expansion packs.
I'm totally off. See,
Yeah.
I told you I was gonna be wrong again.
Yeah, there's like 4 core ones that have like big amounts of gameplay, and then there's just like a race, like a plantoid race pack, and
Okay.
and it doesn't have too much in it. So there's some smaller ones, but there's like 4 or 5 big ones,
Wow.
and yeah, there's quite a bit of expansion packs, and in my opinion they're all great and worth it, and they're going to be doing the same style of thing for this Rome game, and that's the main reason why I'm waiting, because the game as it is, if you look at a lot of the reviews, a lot of people are complaining that it's not really a complete game. It is, but it's missing some features that some other 4X games would have, such as EU4 or another Rome game that I was comparing it to, but seems to be also be missing some diplomatic features that this game has, for example.
Oh, okay.
So I might pick it up later on this year, or I might wait until next year until like 1 or 2 expansion packs come out so that there is more gameplay features added to it, just because I feel that they're going to be it's going to be a better game. It'll always be a progression and getting better and better over time. But yeah, it's just, I feel it's kind of like the OG Civ 5 and OG Civ 6. I didn't buy Civ 5 until the Gods and King, is that what it's called?
Gods and Kings.
Gods and Kings expansion pack came out, because I really like the aspect of cultural wars against people in civilization. I'm like, well, I'm going to wait. Right? So I waited until that expansion pack came out, and then I bought it. And this is kind of the same aspect where I'm just waiting for more content to come out, and then I'll pay attention to their dev blogs and stuff like that to see what they're doing and stuff, and then I will get it eventually, but just not right now. Yeah. So what's on your list, Ian, for games that you've missed so far?
I actually have 3.
Alright.
Not to outdo you.
I don't know.
2 of them are honestly for the same reason.
Right.
I will say that my first 2 are the only reasons I haven't is because they're only available on Xbox One
Okay.
or PC.
Okay.
And for some reason, right now, I've only really picked up and played things on my PS4 and Switch.
Yeah.
It's laziness,
Hmm.
I guess, but I haven't. So
The Switch does have that convenience factor to it, which you really enjoy,
oh
though, in
man,
your defense.
so
So
much. I can play it anywhere.
yeah,
But first off is Outer Wilds.
cool.
Not Outer Worlds, Outer
Yeah,
Wilds.
that's not out yet.
I mean, everything I've seen about this, it looks right up my alley.
Hmm.
It's like you've got this like 22-minute gameplay loop
Right,
where you're trying to, like to start, you're trying to get off this planet
right.
before the sun supernovas.
Okay.
So you kind of have this like Groundhog Day.
Hmm.
Um,
Kind of like Minute to Win It. That one game that you played earlier this year.
minute.
Minute. Okay.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
where you had 1 minute to
To
do as much as
stuff,
possible.
and then you had to start over.
Yeah, this is the same idea. I mean, probably a little bit different, but
Yeah.
I think as you get off the planet and you can kind of go to other planets and check
Right.
things out, you have like things happen at the same time.
Okay.
So like, some planets might not be accessible after a few minutes.
Okay.
If you don't get to that planet before like minute 5,
Right.
you're not gonna get there.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. I love the 22-minute idea. Yeah, it's on my list.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick it up.
Yeah. The Groundhog Day gameplay aspect is a really interesting one that I feel that a lot more companies should try out.
Yeah.
Not to oversaturate the market, but there aren't very many of them, so it'd be nice to have a few more.
No, and I mean it's easy to ratchet up the difficulty because I know when I finished Minute, I
Right.
unlocked like a hard mode where
Mhm.
now I only had 45 seconds to do
Right.
everything, and a broken sword.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they could just drop it down to 11, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's a little extreme, but no, I will pick it up at some point. I don't
Haven't
know.
gotten around to it yet.
I want it on another console. Give it to me on PS4. I know you won't, but because it's not even available on Steam yet either.
Oh, okay.
It's only through like Windows or Xbox.
Fair
So,
enough.
Next up is available on Steam. I'm just lazy. Void Bastards.
Okay.
It's a cel-shaded first-person shooter.
Mhm.
Does anyone remember 13 for the
Not too
PlayStation
much.
2?
But I do remember
It was on the original Xbox and the GameCube as well.
right. I remember the game
13.
being highly talked about and praised because it was the cell shading, and that was kind of a big deal back
It's
then.
a visual style that like ages perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it never looks dated.
Yep.
It's outstanding, and I love the idea that they've redone that. You have
Yeah.
this like space.
I think cell shading is one of my like top 5 favorite style of graphics.
And you don't see it as much anymore. Like
yeah,
there was
it definitely is still there, but it's not used as often as it could. I would say.
Yeah, it was-
Even whenever it was like the big hype, there wasn't that many games that had cell shading. There was just like some big games that had cell shading.
yeah, you had a
and-
bunch of big ones at the time back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on my list. It's I wanna not play it on an Xbox.
Yeah.
But lastly, and this one even astounds me still, is Ghost Giant.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went on a giant VR kick. This came out during my big VR kick.
There was just too many games to play that week.
I guess so. It looks so adorable,
Right.
and I'm going to pick it up. I might even pick it up this week.
Oh, okay.
Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Yeah, I played Dragon Quest Builders too.
Yeah.
You already got that game, so you should probably
And
not
then,
put that
I
on
mean,
the
and
shelf.
then you've got like Ultimate Alliance
Too
3
many
coming
games.
out this week, and then you've got like Wolfenstein and Fire Emblem next week.
Wolfenstein's next week.
Wolfenstein's next.
What platform are you getting that on?
PS4.
Okay, all right. That's the multiplayer one, right?
That's the multiplayer
All right,
one.
we should play that one together.
Okay.
All right.
I mean,
I will
things are
pre-order
happening.
it after this episode.
After this episode. Oh wait, no. Yes, it is next week. It's next
Okay.
Friday.
All right.
Not this Friday.
2
Following
Fridays
Friday.
from now. Okay.
2
cool.
Fridays from now.
All right. Look forward to a review
Of
3 episodes from
Wolfenstein.
now.
But yeah, no, I probably will pick it up soon. It does look super adorable.
Cool.
I have really enjoyed the platforming
Mhm.
VR games. I think they're a really unique way of experiencing that kind of gameplay.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna go on about it for days, but
Cool.
um,
So yeah, let's.
on the note of things that are coming out soon, here's some things that we're waiting for.
Yeah.
JC?
This is the maybe it's the biggest game I'm looking forward to. Maybe it's not. I'm not really sure. All these games I'm really hyped about.
Pokemon.
No, that's not coming out this year.
Pokemon? Pokemon's November.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was February.
No, it's November.
Whoops, maybe that should be on this list.
Changing things up on the fly. No.
So we're both looking forward to Pokemon.
I guess.
Yeah. I haven't decided if I'm getting Sword or Shield or the packet that gets both.
Probably both.
Well, I have like 4 friends who are probably getting it, so I probably don't need to.
That's
yeah.
5 friends, because me too.
No, I was including you in that.
Oh, okay.
But the first game on the list that I'll go over is Link's Awakening.
I'm super excited for this too.
Yeah, so this is coming out for the Nintendo Switch on September 20th. And I've played the original game and the DX version. They're very, very fun and enjoyable games. This game's kind of quirky, though. It actually has Nintendo flair added into it. Like, there's Chomp Chomps and different, like, Mario enemies and stuff like that in it. And it's a classic-style Zelda game that has some neat abilities and items and stuff like that kind of, like, ported over to, like, the following Zelda game for the Super Nintendo. And yeah, it's a really, really enjoyable game for anybody who hasn't played this game and would really love a chance to play it. This is like the perfect opportunity to, because it's like awesome little chibi cel-shaded graphics.
They're adorable. They
know.
look like toys.
Yeah.
Everything's so shiny and plastic looking.
Yeah. And it's I don't think they're adding in too much extra content, but it's not too long of a game. You'll probably beat it like 10-15 hours or something like that.
I did hear that it wasn't.
Yeah,
it's not very
it was a
long,
Game Boy game, but this one has a level builder or something like that, and or a dungeon builder or something.
It's a dungeon builder,
and I don't know all the details about it because they haven't released too much information. But I'm super hyped about that. I think it'd be pretty cool. Because whenever Mario Maker came out for the Wii U, I was like, well, if they get a Zelda builder, I'm going to be buying a Wii U. But then, it doesn't matter anymore. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this game. What's your first game, Ian?
Astral Chain.
Cool.
It's coming out end of August.
Awesome.
It's another action game from Platinum.
Mm-hmm. Platinum makes really, really great games.
Yeah, and they make really great action games. Like you've got the Bayonetta series, Nier Automata.
Yep.
More
Korra.
Legend of Korra,
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah. I can go on, but no, it looks like it's a very interesting gameplay. You have like a kind of like a spirit that you're bonded to, which you use in combat. Yeah, It looks interesting. Check out the trailers.
Yeah, it's by Platinum, so.
Yeah, the story's probably going to be weird.
Mm-hmm.
Story is weird. Yeah, you're like a space cop. Anyways, Astral Chain. That's my first one. JC?
So my next game is another remake of a game that I played in my childhood, and that is Medieval. Medieval is a game that's a 3D platforming style game that originally came out on the PlayStation 1, where you're this one skeleton dude called Sir Daniel Fortescue, and it's a really, really great game. I recommend if you're interested in platforming, 3D platforming games, look up the trailer. It's coming out October 25th for the PlayStation 4, and I'm looking forward to this. It looks like they're giving it just as much love as the guys who did the remake for Crash Bandicoot and the Spyro game.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for this one too, because I never played the Medieval games.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah, I never really played through the second one, but the first one I have a lot of love for, so yeah, looking forward to this. Your next one, Ian?
Also coming out in September is Daemon X Machina.
Okay.
Which, if you enjoyed the Armored Core games from many years ago,
right? Big robot game.
Yeah, it's done by a lot of the same people that did the original Armored Core games.
Right.
So you have
That's pretty cool.
You have that same like being able to customize your mech. As well as a obscure anime story,
right?
Which is just going to get weirder. There's a fairly long demo that's available right now.
Oh, that's
on
awesome.
Switch. So, if giant mech combat interests you at all, check it out. I'm really interested for when it comes out because I'm super stoked to really get in and customize my mech
and
modify the weapons the way I want. But yeah. Yeah, you can use like various combos. You've got shields. You'll have like melee weapons,
Mm-hmm.
as well as ranged weapons. There's like shoulder-mounted cannons. It's dope.
Awesome.
Uh, net. I think I know what your next one is.
Okay.
I think I can guess what you're excited for. That's coming out later on in this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's that?
it's Life is Strange.
Of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is.
So, as I mentioned earlier in this episode and in many episodes before, really love Life is Strange. Episode 4 is coming out in August. Can't wait. And episode 5, the final episode of this season, is coming out at the end of December.
How sad are you going to be if it gets pushed to like January?
Well, my birthday's in January, so it could be a birthday present, I guess, from Don't Nod. I don't know. But, yeah, they took a really long time to actually give the release dates for episodes 3, 4, and 5 because they didn't want to have much scope creep push the actual deadlines for the games.
Okay.
So I have very good confidence that these are actually not going to slip. It is potentially possible that the last one will slip, though, because one thing, as we talked about in Life is Strange episode, whenever Ian finally played through it, is that they actually took fan community feedback and added to the game. So
Yeah.
if they do that from the episode that came out just a while ago, 3 or 4, then they could potentially add in a couple of scenes and stuff like that that will take them an extra amount of time. And if they want to do that, I'm completely fine with it because I know that the game is going to be fantastic. But I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to find out what happens with the characters. I'm not going to talk about any of it. Go play the game. Play all the games. And yeah, it's fantastic, and I'll let you know my opinions of them whenever they come out and I've played them. So yeah, Life is Strange 2 episodes 4 and 5.
I'll probably wait until it's all released to play it.
Yeah, I generally do that with episodic games, which I go into a little bit later in this episode with something that is in our disappointment section, but which we'll do right after this. But with Life is Strange, I gotta have it now. So what's your final game that you're waiting for?
Jedi Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
Released in November. Yeah, I'm super stoked. Super stoked. I watched all of the E3 coverage of it.
Cool.
It looks so incredibly promising. And then listening to stuff from the devs,
Right.
where they actually held back a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay.
In that it is a little bit more Metroidvania style,
Mm-hmm.
where you're gaining new abilities and being able to go back to previous areas to get to new areas.
Right.
I love it. I'm excited for it. Don't suck.
Yeah.
If it sucks, EA better lose that license.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before, but like I want Star Wars 1313. I know it's not going to happen, and this game I'm on the fence about. So I'm waiting for like people's opinions, like from you and some personalities that I really like on YouTube, who will give me an
Like
opinion.
me.
Yeah, but to give me an opinion on the game as to whether or not I should be able to get it or not, because I don't want it to turn into this Battlefield scenario where it's just like not something I want to play.
See, and it's unfortunate because Battlefield 2, despite all of its issues, had a really good campaign.
Yeah,
But that gets totally overshadowed by the EA's greed.
Honestly, I think it's a little bit justified because the campaign is super short and most of its gameplay aspect was advertised as the online components.
I mean, yes, that was the big...
Yeah.
Battlefield or Battlefront 1 was just online. There was no single player whatsoever.
Yeah, so people's expectation who had played 1 would have been also just to play online for 2.
It's true, but I really did enjoy the story in Battlefront 2. So I'm watching the gameplay of Fallen Order.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of stuff incorporated from previous.
Yeah. I'm doing the same thing with this game that I do with a lot of movies where like I'm barely looking into it so that I don't have some unrealistic hype expectation on the game, so that like if I hear that it's a good game, then I'll just play it and then we'll enjoy it, because I find that helps with
so much hype. I am so hyped. Yeah.
You're setting yourself up. This is bad.
No, I totally am. But you know what? I've really appreciated everything by Respawn that I've played up until this point. I mean, I haven't played a lot. I didn't play Apex Legends, but I really enjoyed both of the Titanfall games,
Right.
and I appreciated how much that they included into 2 over 1. It was a natural transition, and the story mode was awesome.
Right.
I really enjoyed the single player campaign in that. So hopefully they can really deliver on this one.
Hopefully.
I think it's really important that they do. Yeah, let's like JC said, let's get into things that disappointed us this
Mhm.
year. What's your number one disappointment, buddy?
Anthem.
I see. I don't know what you're talking about. This was a pretty decent $40 game.
Was it a game that should have taken 7 years?
I mean,
This game fucking sucks.
it. There is tons of games that took 7 years to make.
Yeah, that are better, and I guess there's a few examples of ones that were bad, but
Like I said, totally passable $40
yeah.
game.
We go over this in like 4 or 5 of our episodes. Go back, watch our backlog if you haven't, and yeah. We don't really have to go into it. Anthem is on this list for me because it was a major disappointment. But to be fair, I kind of knew it was going to be a disappointment, but it still disappointed even further than that. So, anyway, what's on your list?
Generation Zero.
Yeah, and I found it interesting this is on your list because you kept on going back and forth between Far Cry and Generation Zero.
You know what? I settled. It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not good. Even at a $40 game, this should have been better.
Right.
I would have gladly paid $80 if this was as good as
Far
New
Cry?
Dawn. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I easily would have
Mm-hmm.
and not regretted it. But at $40, knowing that I played something like Anthem,
Right.
no, I'm
Stabby, stabby.
yeah, I found playing Generation Zero. I just wanted to play Far Cry,
Right.
because it was just better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, it's good to know the final verdict because you had a verdict and then a final verdict where you went Generation Zero, but you liked Far Cry better, and you're like, nah, Generation Zero is better. And now you're like, nope, I've played enough of both of them.
It's
Far Cry.
Yeah, it bums me out because Generation Zero was on my. If you go way back and watch our first episode,
Yeah.
this was on my list of things that I was super excited for this year, and it was just like a total letdown. This wasn't like you with Anthem, where you're like, I'm kind of excited, but I think I know it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
This I was like, I'm so excited. This is gonna be great, and it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what else disappointed you?
So in my notes, I put Epic Store with a question mark. And I know the Epic Store didn't come out this year, and it's not really the Epic Store, but it has to do with the Epic Store. So as I mentioned,
It did come out this year.
did it? I thought it came out late last year.
I think it actually came out this year.
Okay. We will put in comment right here. Whether,
Who's right?
Who's right or wrong? Place your bets. Betting ends. This person was right. Okay, so the reason why I put this is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Is I generally wait until the end of a episodic games episodes to actually get it, and I have all of the Walking Dead games, and then I have them all on GOG, my preferred PC platform. And so I want this one on GOG. If I would have pre-ordered it, then I would have gotten it on GOG and would have been able to get episodes 3 and 4 on GOG because it was after episode 2 that the whole company went in shambles and then was picked up by Skybound Games, which is a great company, and they've done some really great things, and it looks like they're doing some things that I'm looking forward to and stuff like that in the future. For example, they're involved in BG3 a little bit, but the thing is, and they've done some really, really great games, but the thing is that Epic threw their money around and said, okay, no, it's going to be Epic Store exclusive. I have no interest in that. And I believe in freedom of market where you can get the game on the platform that you choose. And if the company wants to only put it on Steam or GOG or Epic Store, that's their prerogative. But like even CD Projekt Red understands that people only want to use Steam, and one of their big games that are coming out next year or the year after is what we'll see is Cyberpunk 2077,
Yep.
but they're releasing it on Steam as well, so
Yeah,
that you have the choice.
even though GOG is their platform.
Yeah, and like their advertising right now is pushing so people understand that if they buy it from GOG, that they get more of the money. And I read an article recently that a third of the pre-order sales, which is more pre-order sales than the Witcher 3 has had, are on the GOG's platform, which is fantastic because they get more money and they'll be able to develop more games and compensate their developers or do whatever they want, make GOG Galaxy better in the future and stuff like that, and work out the 2.0 and
maybe
everything.
not take 17 years to release a game.
Yeah, and everything, and yeah. So the Walking Dead episode, I wanted to, because I know I'm gonna want to play through the whole entire thing in one sitting, and I'm thinking, okay, well maybe I can get it on the Switch because like on consoles I don't really mind, but I kind of want to see if maybe a year from now if they'll actually release it on other platforms, because I think they probably will, though they haven't talked about it.
I think so. It's probably a timed exclusive.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna wait, but that's just forcing me to have to wait. I have to ignore that like aspect corner of YouTube and Twitch to not watch these people because I want to experience the end without any spoilers and stuff like that, and it's been hard. Luckily not as hard as it could be, but the thing is that I felt that was kind of a big bummer, just like people are finding the Shenmue 3 issue a big bummer. And the thing is that this is a huge disappointment for me, this whole aspect of this, I guess, money laundering and tossing around, where it's just, it might benefit them in the long run, but I find gamers need to speak out and talk about this type of stuff, because if it was originally available, yeah, sure, like, maybe this wouldn't have happened, and I'll accept that. That's a very good argument, because the company was going under and then it was picked up and then some people were like re-brought in and stuff like that, and then the game was finally finished because of some bad management and stuff like that. And I guess I will say, in defense of all this, I would rather have this game completed as it is completed now than it never being completed at all, because that would have been a catastrophe.
But it's a real shame that you have companies like someone like Epic, who's huge. Like, they have all that Fortnite money, and they're just gonna, like, I don't know, swing their dick around and be like, nah, this is exclusive to our platform. Like, money.
And I get that they've saved some games. Like, there's even been a couple examples of Kickstarter games that were kind of like hemorrhaging money, and Epic threw them money, and they're like, okay, well, it's no longer available on Steam. You're getting an Epic store. And
Star Citizen?
No.
I'm just kidding. That's never coming out.
Maybe, who knows? But yeah, so that's my disappointment for this year. It seems to be a reoccurring pattern. I get it in some aspects because of the examples that I gave of the studios running out of money and not necessarily having a choice and stuff like that. But I find it a trend that's happening, and where it doesn't need to happen, then I don't think it should be happening. But where, like, we don't have a choice, then I think those development companies need to be a little bit more open with their PR, because there's always going to be people who are upset about this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I would like to think, or a hope, wishful thinking, is that a lot of gamers, they just want the games, and if you give them a legitimate reason, then a lot of them will accept the reason. I could be naive on that. In fact, I probably am a little bit naive on that, but that's just my thoughts on that, and that's my disappointments for 2019. But you have one other disappointment for 2019?
I do.
How about you go into that?
I mean, mine's not kind of as big as JC's, but Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Again, it was on my list of things that I was really excited for this year.
Yeah. And I really wanted yours is the Switch version specifically.
Mine is the Switch version specifically.
And I'm inclined to agree with your comments that you're about to say, because you talked about this like an episode or two ago, and I was looking forward to getting this for the Switch. And sorry,
because I feel like the Switch is an amazing home for it. You know, it's the kind of game that you would want to be able to play on the go.
Yeah.
Not everything I want to play on the go, but visually, and gameplay wise, like this is meant for that console.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't, the port doesn't stand up.
Right.
You know, and I get I get that they are hearing the complaints. I
Yeah.
get that they're going to fix them.
And this is probably something that will change opinion wise and factually over time, where it will get
Yeah.
better, unless it's something they physically can't fix, which I hope it's not something that they can't fix. I hope it's something they can, but and I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be able to. It's just, yeah, you know, when you're talking about something where you need semi-precise movements,
Yeah.
to have like huge delay, that's a bummer. I'm bad at this game, and I need any help I can get. And
Yeah, because Castlevania games in generally have like a little bit of a delay with like the whip, for example, in the OG Castlevanias, and the way that you in a lot of the Castlevanias, whenever you get hit, you get like knocked back, for example. Like
Yep.
that's like very timed and stuff like that. So you can, if you know it well enough, you can kind of work with it by like facing like the wrong way. And if there's a delay in your input movements, it's a lot harder to do stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to compensate for that, and I'm not good enough to compensate for that. But I'm hoping that when we do our like 2019 retrospective,
Yeah.
that this will be something that I totally change my opinion on, and I'm sure it will. But for right now, I'm just disappointed. I was hoping for a lot more.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So let's talk about our current consideration for Game of the Year. So surprisingly, we chose the same game.
Yep.
Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yeah, I really don't think that anything has been released this year that quite stands up to this level.
Yeah, this game is fantastic. Like the original was a masterpiece in gaming. The remake is just another masterpiece in gaming that elevates the existing one and makes it so much better.
Yeah.
And it's one of the examples where like you can argue that the original Resident Evil is a fantastic game. You are correct. This is a fantastic game as well, and it just adds to it. And that's a great thing.
Like I said before, this is how you do a remake.
Yeah.
This is a ground up remake, and it is beautiful.
And this is a great trend that's happening. And we talked about this in the episode where we talked about Resident Evil and our 2 remake and our opinions of it. And like, sure, there's a lot of games that like don't need to be remade, but there are some masterpiece games that should be remade. And this sold very well. I'm certain Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to sell millions of copies.
Oh yeah.
And like Crash Bandicoot did well, and some of these really great games that deserve to be remade are doing fairly well, and it's a good trend to start, and looking forward to where this goes into the future, because yeah, it's so I'm not certain
for me, looking at what's come out this year so far, nothing quite stands up to this level, and then looking forward to what's coming out.
Yeah. I totally agree with
this
you.
is the only thing that's going to stand up there.
Yeah.
You know, this is the
unless
only
there's
thing
like
that will
some
compete.
sort of hidden gem that comes out that like we decide to that like comes across our radar that we play. I don't see this changing. That like it came out early in the year. It has that big of an impact.
It's going to be hard to top for sure.
Yeah. But we could be wrong. If we are, I'm sure you'll let us know in the comments down below. Let us know what your favorite game that you've played so far that has come out in 2019 is. Maybe it's Resident Evil 2 as well.
Yeah. Or what's bummed you out this year? What did you pick up that you're like, well, this kind of sucks? Yeah. And what is your Game of the Year contender?
Yep.
Tell us. Comments. We will see you next Wednesday.
See you next week.